Texas Tech men's basketball continues to move up the rankings as the Red Raiders are officially in the top 10 of the AP poll. We'll discuss that, look at the latest metrics, and where they ranked in the top 16 reveal for the NCAA Tournament. Where is Texas Tech projected right now, according to the committee? That and much more in today's video. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And honestly, let's just get right into this. Let's just jump straight into the latest AP poll. You can see it there on your screen. Your Red Raiders are in the top 10 of the AP poll, and this is one of their highest rankings in program history. And I don't think that should be too surprising when you consider what this team has done in the Big 12 this year. As you can see, there are 3 Big 12 teams in the top 10. You can barely see 10 there. It is St. John's, but you have Houston at 5, Iowa State at 8, Texas Tech at 9 right there. And when you look at everything, this feels right. Maybe a little bit short-sighted in the sense that maybe they should be, a spot or two higher. But overall, in my opinion, there's a clear top 5 teams in the country. And then there are really about 4 or 5 other teams after them, and Texas Tech is in the 4 or 5 after. But I could make the argument Texas Tech should be at the level of the top of those next 4 or 5 in terms of just elite of the elite. And, well, AP voters, they think the same as the Red Raiders move up 3 spots after their perfect week against Arizona State. And then obviously the shellacking that they had. You can see the score on your screen right there, 93-55 at Oklahoma State to enter the top 10 for Grant McCaslin's crew. Now, we're going to go look at all the latest metrics here. I'd be remiss not to ask you to like the video and hit that subscribe button for 100% free Texas Tech content all year long. And, well, here's KenPom. Red Raiders come in at number 7, okay? And they are firmly in the mix now as a national title contender according to the KenPom metrics, which is basically, hey, you have to have a top 21 offense and a top 31 defense. As you can see right there, Texas Tech is 32nd in the country in terms of defensive rating. So they're right on the cusp. They're sitting pretty when it comes to offenses. They are a top 10 offense in the country this year. And we're going to look and see here in just a second how the committee viewed the Red Raiders prior to their absolute shellacking of Oklahoma State on Saturday and where they put them in the top 16. But Texas Tech is firmly, and I mean firmly, in the mix to potentially get a 2 seed. And we're going to look at where Texas Tech is at in terms of the standings here in just a second within the Big 12. But I think they have every opportunity on the table, do the Red Raiders, to be a 2 seed. Is it likely? No. I think the most likely outcome right now for Texas Tech is they will be a 3 seed. But you look at these metrics, not only at KenPom, as you can see on your screen right here, but as we move on over, and you can see the net rankings, and you have Auburn at 1, but Texas Tech is right there at 7. Again, lining up perfectly with what KenPom had to say on everything. Texas Tech, 7 quad 1 wins on the year. You have 0 quad 3 or quad 4 losses. A lot of teams have that at this point. You do have 2 quad 2 losses, St. Joe's and then UCF on that front. But the Red Raiders are in a very good spot. And as I mentioned, I think there's a clear top 5, top 6 teams in the country. Red Raiders are right on that precipice in terms of being one of those top 7 teams in the country. And they probably are a top 7 team in the country, at least through Big 12 play. A lot has changed. Now, when it comes to the actual current landscape of the Big 12, this is where things get interesting. Okay. From this standpoint, okay, Texas Tech, they're 2 games back of Houston. You still play the Cougars at home. You have a chance to potentially sweep them and hand them 2 of hopefully more than 2 losses in the Big 12, but at least the 2 losses they would have if you were to win that game, if you were Texas Tech out in the 806 on Big Monday this time next week. However, Arizona, they've got 2 losses as well. Texas Tech can really fortify their resume in terms of going into next week. You play TCU here on Tuesday in terms of in Lubbock East, a.k.a. Fort Worth. Then you go home and play West Virginia. If you go 2-0, you're at 13 wins facing off against Houston for a chance to get potentially within 1 game or even, just 2, right? Like it just kind of depends on what we're going with here, right? Overall, though, the Red Raiders are in a great, great spot. And I want to look at maybe what has been the most important aspect of in terms of information released. Like, you can look at KenPom, you can look at net, but what did the committee themselves think of the Red Raiders? You can see that on your screen now. This obviously from Big Ten Network. This was just the graphic that I pulled, but you can see it on your screen. They have Texas Tech as the highest 4 seed. I want to preface this. This was before their game against Oklahoma State and obviously Kansas's loss at Utah. I don't know how Kansas was a top 4 seed to begin with. I really just think it's because they're a blue blood in that preseason #1 narrative. And I had people on Twitter saying that I was ill-informed or ignorant for thinking that Kansas didn't deserve to be there. They're not as good as people think. Like, numbers lie sometimes to you, okay? Kansas shouldn't be there. They're not anymore. They're, probably a 5 seed, maybe even a 6 seed now, as they are ranked 23rd in the AP poll. But I think they're probably going to end up as a 5 or a 6 seed. I never really understood why Kansas was there. That being said, in terms of where Texas Tech was projected here, they have moved up, in my opinion. You have to think about some of these teams on here, right? Arizona lost. You got to flip that. That would make Texas Tech a 3 seed. I think Texas Tech is firmly in the mix as it stands right now today to be a 3 seed. They've got to handle business, right? But they have multiple opportunities to play teams that the committee perceives rightly or wrongly as top 4 seeds. Obviously, rightly in Houston, they deserve to be a top 4 seed. They're a top 2 seed in terms of they should be on the 2 line, right? You play them at home, as I talked about earlier. Then you go to Kansas. Could Kansas beat Texas Tech? Yeah, obviously. It's a hard place to play in Allen Fieldhouse, right? But overall, Texas Tech has a much stronger resume. And right now, Texas Tech has 7 quad 1 wins, okay? They have 7. That's going to fluctuate just from everything that goes on with that in terms of the net rankings and everything. But at the end of the day, Texas Tech, as of right now, going into their TCU matchup, is more than likely a 3 seed and has flipped spots with Arizona there in this ranking, okay? Now you have the chance to go play TCU, a team that you beat at home. Then you play West Virginia in your lone matchup with the Mountaineers this year at home as well. And I think I just said that TCU was a home game. It basically is. It's Lubbock East, right? I've said that before. I'll say it again. I don't care. But you have the chance to get a couple of quad 1 wins here. You move in, you're already top 10 in the AP poll. You're already top 10 in KenPom. You're already top 10 in the net, right? You're in second place when it comes to the Big 12 race. You have every opportunity in front of you, if you're Texas Tech, to potentially go as high as a 2 seed. And I don't think that that's crazy to say, right? If you beat Houston, you sweep Houston, what's stopping you from flipping Texas Tech and Houston on the 2 line? I don't think there is anything. We're talking about a lot of what ifs here. But overall, as I get back onto your screen here, this Texas Tech team, as we know, is really, really good, right? You have arguably the Big 12 Player of the Year in JT Toppin, and I think he's probably the front runner right now. But every metric site says that you are a top 8 team and you should be on the 2 line, or at least you're playing like you're a 2 line. Obviously, there's some politics involved in that and everything. And it's a human aspect of it when it comes to the committee. But overall, Texas Tech continues to handle business. And I don't know why anyone would think they wouldn't, right? You go in, let's just say you win the road games you should win, i.e. at Arizona State and at TCU. You're better than those teams, right? Obviously, they're going to want some revenge after everything. Cool, whatever. But you win the games you're supposed to, and then your home game against Houston, okay? You think about it. You beat TCU. You beat West Virginia, you beat Houston. Let's just say you lose at Kansas, right? But then you beat Colorado and then you beat Arizona State, okay? That would put you at 16 wins in conference, okay? I don't know if that wins just because of how good Houston is and if they got to slip up another time after that, but that is easily a 2 resume right there. You should be on the 2 line. Obviously, a lot of what ifs here, but Texas Tech, the big news for the Red Raiders ahead of their TCU matchup is that the Red Raiders have moved into the top 10 of the AP poll, number 9 to be exact, in every metric site has the Red Raiders as a top 8 team in the country, while the committee, they released their mid-season reveal of the top 16 seeds right now, has Red Raiders as the 13th best team in the country, a 4 seed, the first 4 seed, but after Arizona lost and a couple of teams ahead of them lost as well. Does that change? I think Texas Tech is firmly on the 3 line right now with room to improve, with 2 major marquee games on their schedule for next week in Houston and Kansas. All right, that's going to do it for your update on everything Texas Tech, bracketology, metrics, and AP poll, and everything in between. If you like these videos, we're putting them out at least once a week, typically every Monday, to keep you informed on what the resume for the Red Raiders is looking like. If you want that 100% free to your phone, simply all you have to do is 3 things. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech men's basketball all year long, right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans and the most interactive group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel. And as always, stay safe and Recom Tech.